back to another video here at Joe Daddy's Garage. This video is Brooklyn Pony Part 45. Now, there's actually more than 45 videos because I did a series of test fits of the engine and transmission, and I think those were like 40A, 40B, 40C, something along those lines. And then there was a 44, but also a 44A because that was a transmission cross member. So those two are related, that's why I kind of labeled them that way. Anyway, there's more than 45 videos. So if you haven't seen those videos and you want to get familiarized, I suggest you go back, check the playlist, and watch from the beginning, because I'm working on building, or have built mostly, a 66 Mustang convertible from a few parts of the original car and a lot of dynacorn panels. So anyway, at this point I have, in the last video as I mentioned, I have installed the engine and transmission, again as a mock-up. They're not ready to be complete because there's still paint and stuff that has to go on. However, I have put the engine and transmission in with the new cross member. So everything is sitting the way it's supposed to sit. Now what I want to deal with is the steering column and the headers. I also have in a previous video shown the headers and how I modified one of the exhaust tubes to make the steering fit. And in doing so, we think there may be an issue with the steering column. Now, this kit, the TCI kit, came with all the suspension parts, with wheelwood brakes and all that sort of thing, a 9-inch rear end, and it came with the steering column, the ididit steering column, and the headers. Okay. After we've looked at some things and the test fitting, we're coming to realize that maybe this steering column is not the right column, because they make two different lengths apparently. And the column that is in it, I think, is the short column, and it's going to cause problems because to make everything fit, and I'll do a segment on this, to make everything fit, I had to push the column way down in the firewall, and what that ended up doing was make the enlarged area that houses part of the tilt function get too close to the dash. So the instrument cluster may not fit correctly, or it may just be really tight, and we don't want that. So I'm going to take out this column and I'm going to compare it to the other column. Hopefully the other one is longer and will help resolve some of this problem. I'm also going to test fit the headers and make sure that they are going to clear everything now that the cross member is finished. So let me show you what I'm talking about with the steering column. So there you can see how much of the column is sticking through the firewall, and I can come over the top here and show you at least the top side. But if I come to the car and I show you the inside, you can see just how close that piece is to the dash itself. And the reason for that was I had to push the steering column deep into the engine bay to create a better angle between this U-joint and that U-joint. Because the further you come in, really the greater the angle becomes, but it also helps it clear the headers. So the less angle, the closer it is to the headers. So anyway, I'm going to take this column out and then compare it to the new one, which I hope is longer. Okay, so I have this first steering column out, and the part number is on this, if you can read that right there, 112064410. This part number is right there. You can see the part number. So that is 112064210. Okay, so it has spray foam, you know, kind of in little bags around it. Pull that out. Set that box down. Please be different. Aha! Okay. I feel better now. It looks like there's about an inch difference here on the end. Let me show you. So with this end lined up, or relatively close to being even, there we go. That feels better already. Just knowing that really I think it's an inch. Let's see what the measurement is. So this one comes in at about 28 3/8 to the bottom side of the plastic here. And this one comes in at, get my tape measure to hang on. Yep, 29 3/8. So it's an inch different. Good. I'm going to get some tape on the new one and try to get it in the car, and we'll have a look at it. Let me point this out as well. I know I've shown this on the other video, but if you turn these over, this is the bottom side, and this is a slot that's cut for the collar that goes around, that supports it up against the bottom of the dash. So that slot appears to be in the same location. So you can kind of see where I had this one pushed all the way down, and by the witness marks here of the collar. And the collar is the standard collar that came in the car. So you can see it has that little tab sticking out right there. That's what goes into that slot, like so. Now imagine you could turn this around, but you can't go but so far down because you end up hitting the dash. So I think I had it in like that to limit the travel. So now I'll get some tape on this one and get it in the car. Okay, so I have the column installed, and you can see there's a good bit of the main body coming through, and now there's more clearance up here at the top for the instrument cluster and the bezel. The only problem I have is I don't have a complete instrument cluster to test fit. I have this one which was provided by the owner, and it has all new gauges and stuff in it, but there's no bezel. So I'm gonna have to work around that a little bit. I posted on Facebook to get a measurement from basically the steel part of the dash to the edge of the bezel, so I have some idea of what I'm dealing with here. I do think that even where I'm at, it's close, but there's still a little bit of adjustment left here on the inside. I can pull the column back up just a little bit, and I think I'll be fine. So I'm going to drive on, and I'm going to refit the headers, and I'm going to check clearance on that while I'm waiting on some pictures to come up. So let me get the headers in place. Alright, well, the headers look pretty decent at this point. They sit up nicely within the range of the suspension and the pans, the tranny pan and the oil pan. So this may work out okay. I do have a tight fit right here with this plate to that last tube, so I may have to trim that down a little bit, and I'm a little bit concerned with how this side is very close to the lever for the shifter or shift linkage. So let me turn the camera around and I'll look at it from the back. So again, here's the passenger side, and maybe you can see how close that plate is, and there's extra material there, so I can trim off the outside edge a little bit, and I think that'll be fine. But again, here on the driver's side, that's pretty close. Now I don't know exactly what the linkage needs to be for that to fit together, to operate, but there's also a module that mounts on this. It's going to be on the upper side, so that's not a big deal. But this, like I said, that's pretty close. Now I do want to point out that with the homemade cross member and I take, this is just a extension off of my shop vac, but it gives you a good witness as to where the exhaust is aimed. And at this point, there's no clearance issues on the passenger side at all. And on the driver's side, if I do the same thing, same deal. That's going to clear that area right there that creates a pocket. Can't get the camera high enough, but anyway, you get the idea. So that's not an issue. I think the biggest problem at this point will be this right here. Okay, so looking at the passenger side, again, decent clearance. You can see, maybe see a little bit better, that plate is pretty close to that last tube of the header, so I may just trim that plate a little bit, and there's plenty of material there, so that's not a concern. Otherwise, that looks really decent. On the driver's side, biggest concern is this linkage arm right here. It's really close, maybe 5/8 of an inch or so from the collector, so I have to be careful with that. I know there's a module that mounts to this shaft up here that's going to face up, so that's not a big concern, but I don't know what the linkage is going to be that connects to this arm, so I have to consider that. As far as the steering shaft, you know, I had made that dent in that last, or that third tube, and it still clears fine. And I may have to trim, let me see if I can focus here. I may have to trim that post a little bit because it's pretty close to that tube, but I can shorten up that post a little bit and I think it'll be fine. I still have a little bit of room that I can move the steering column up into the car. It'll change the angle slightly, but I think it'll be okay. I'm getting some measurements from some followers on Facebook that are letting me know what the bezel shape is, since I don't have a bezel to compare it to. Otherwise, if I take this is just an extension off of my shop vac, but if I put that into the collector, it gives you some perspective as to how much room is available with that custom cross member I made. So passenger side, that should not be an issue. Driver's side, well, look at that. It clears this side as well. So I think that's going to be fine. Now, there's still a couple things I want to deal with. I don't know. I just have to continue to think things over, you know, test fit and mock things up. But at this point, I'm happy with how things are looking at least at this point. You know, we'll have to figure out something with this linkage. And I don't know if there's a modification you make, or if there's another design or something you change. I don't know. So I'll have to get some more information on that. Okay. I've been wanting to open this box up for quite a while. This came in the big package bundle that arrived probably at least a year ago. But this is part of the Vintage Air kit that came. So this, according to the number up here in the front, 174101, small block Ford front runner with power steering and Z. I don't know what the and Z is. So let's open it up. See if I can figure out how to have this packaged. Ooh, shiny. Let me set that aside. All right, all kinds of stuff in here. instruction sheet with a checklist. Power supply. Obviously a serpentine belt. These are tensioner cover, front runner clutch cover. Let's see, what else? Aluminum power steering pump, a Dayco no slack belt tensioner, power steering pulley, crankshaft pulley, water pump pulley. I just kind of want to see what this crankshaft pulley looks like. Oh, okay. It's anodized aluminum. Okay, that's cool. That's going to be the compressor. Oh, I'm going to guess that's the alternator. What's that? Yep. Alternator. Water pump. That's really something I wanted to see. Okay, just a stock style water pump with a gasket. All right, well, let's see what else. There's some tubes in here. That's going to be for the compressor. And of course there's other parts that go with this when it comes time to assemble. But at this point, this is all about test fitting. So I'll have to look over the instructions a little bit, see what it tells me to do. Hopefully there's a bolt kit or something. That would be nice. I hope. Yeah, there it is. All right, we'll look at this a little further. All right, this looks pretty cool. And there's the, looks like all stainless bolt kit. Cool. So by the looks of it, I mean obviously this could be the top section here, and oh, there's another piece. Something there, but as you can see, that looks like, I'll look at the instructions. But I'm gonna say this is the front because there's the impeller hole or cutout for the water pump, and it wouldn't make sense for it to go on any other way, especially since you've got chamfered holes up here. So if it went in from the back, that would be different. Nice piece. That's sharp. So, all right. Let me see if I can get this mocked up in the car. Things that make you go, You know, I guess I wasn't really thinking about this too much whenever we talked about the front runner system, because I know from my experience, say with Chevys, it's maybe a bit simpler than this. And I guess I didn't think about it, that in order to put this system on, this housing has to come off. Because normally your water pump mounts right here. And without having seen this before, I didn't know that you have to take this piece all the way off, which means you have to take off the crankshaft pulley and separate, not take the oil pan off, but take the bolts out of the front of the oil pan. So the tricky part is going to be getting this apart without messing anything up. And by that I mean, I had to pull the distributor out in order to get the engine in and out. So I'm going to have to put I want to put the distributor back in the car, in the engine, just in case I turn the crank pulley. I want to make sure it's indexed to where it was. That's what this piece of tape is for over here, to index the distributor. So I'll put the distributor back in, pull this pulley off, get these bolts out, and get this housing off. Now I don't know, all along I did not want to break loose this oil pan from the bottom of the engine. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get away with that. Because the way this is configured, they interact. So let me show you on the bottom of the front runner setup, of course. These are your oil pan bolt holes. Well, it would be easy if you could just go straight down. But you can't, because you've got a crankshaft in the way, and there's going to be a crank seal right here. So really it has to go on this way, directly. And another thing I just noticed, this has no provision for a fuel pump, which means we're going to have to come up with something as far as a fuel pump goes, because this port over here, that's for the fuel pump. So that's gone. Okay, well, it is what it is. Okay, that's going to be the end of this video. I wanted to make this a longer video, but I realize now that that front runner system is probably really going to complicate some things, and I don't want this to be a 2-hour video. So I'm going to cut this one off, but I did cover some ground, changing out that steering column, showing the different lengths, and also test fitting the headers again, and making sure things clear as they should. There may be some minor adjustments I have to make, but that's all part of this process. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do for this particular segment. Now, having said that, I'm conducting an experiment, and I mentioned this in the live stream I did on Thursday, I believe. I want to do some giveaways, maybe more frequent type of giveaways, and to do that I need to have comments. So the way it's going to work is leave a comment on this video, leave a thumbs up, and you are entered into a drawing, basically. And then the next week, or the next video that I make, will have a drawing in it. So those of you that have commented, I can go to the computer and put in the video, and it'll draw out any of the comments, no duplicate comments, so it'll isolate individual comments, or individual people on YouTube, and then I'll do a drawing from there. So that'll be the part of the next video that I do. But you have to leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, that sort of thing. And I'm not going to be giving away, a new house or something. This is kind of an experiment to get interaction, and it may be big, it may be small, but you won't know until it arrives. So do your part and follow the directions, and we'll go from there. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll keep making these videos and try to get them out as often as I can, and we'll see how it goes. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya. $45, 44, and whatever. And that was, I'll see what I can get figured out to get this stuff on the engine, but I'll film it, you'll see. I just realized that it's going to be a little more difficult to take care of this, and I know that it's going to be a little more complicated with that front runner system. And oh, what's up? And then the next one will be, of course, this front runner system. So